Welcome, one and all, to the Hilton on Park Lane in London, one of the most multicultural cities in the world, and a fitting stage for these 54 players who come from all over, each having paid £1 million to compete in the richest poker tournament in history. 11 places will be paid, £1.1 million, the minimum payout if you're in the money, with 19 million hanging up top.
Very likely to dominate you.
Tom Dwan down to 435K now, as ace jack of spades, and opens to 9,000.
You know, down to just 400 is true, but this structure's so deep, there's no reason for Dwan to panic. He's still got plenty of big blinds and maneuverability.
140 of them.
Like 350 or something?
Roughly.
425 more.
Which is as deep as you could hope to be in the early goings of virtually any tournament, and certainly one where you're buying in £1 million, as both Adams and Kurganov have flatted.
425.
Kuznetsov taking a peek at an ace-queen here out of the big. Perhaps a glass of fresh squeeze?
Yeah, could be a spot where, you know, Dwan does open a lot of pots. He might feel like this is a good opportunity to just pick up what's there pre-flop, and he's going to re-raise to 52.5.
I like this. I think there are no real concerns about Adams and Kurganov, and you're targeting Dwan,
who does have a hand here, ace-jack of spades. And, you know, Dwan's a little bit frustrated right now. You have to imagine, you know, with the start that he's had. So it'd be hard to lay this down. He's going to want to take a flop.
In goes 52 total. Out goes queen-jack. And the duck soup.
So this could be trouble for Tom Dwan if the flop comes ace-high.
Instead, it's queen high, but two spades as well, as Kuznetsov flops top pair, top kicker against the nut flush draw.
Yeah, fireworks will ensue. The question is it going in on the flop or is it going in later? But the chips will be going in here. A 3-bet pot, you flop the nut flush draw. If you're Kuznetsov, you flop top pair, ace kicker. Nobody's going anywhere. All the chips will get in here, I would imagine.
But Dwan's not obligated to bloat this pot, right? You talked about how deep he is.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. But again, it is a 3-bet pot. He doesn't have to raise now. He could, you know, get frisky on the turn. I just don't see many scenarios where, you know, Tom doesn't get all his chips in here with the nut flush draw.
Let's see how he approaches things on the flop. It looks like a raise to 132.
Yeah, that's me saying, you know, hey, I'm Tom Dwan. I'm ready to go. Let's get it in. I would imagine Kuznetsov is very aware of the situation.
Asking for a count is Timofey.
Not much reason to just flat call here. He might as well just stick it in. If he's ahead, great. I mean, what can he really be behind? 2 kings? If Dwan decided to slow play it, unlikely. A set of 6s? Unlikely. So if I'm here with ace-queen and I'm Kuznetsov, I like the situation.
And I think that Dwan kind of made his statement, given he was willing to put 132 of what he had behind in on the flop. Timofey can rest assured he's not going to lose his customer. So the chips do get in. Dwan does not hit the necessary spade on the turn and needs to see one here on the river if he's going to stay alive. Instead, it's the 10 of diamonds, and down goes Durr.
Wow. Well, it's better than the 8-deuce offsuit. We started the day with him opening from the small blind. At least this hand has some playability post-flop.
Don't act like you've never sprinkled it in with an 8-deuce from the small blind.
Well, I'm the 4-5 of diamonds guy all day, but 8-deuce, nah, not my thing.
Aaron Zhang in there with the 10-8 suited. Orpin has flatted with 2 9s. Now Shanghai with an ace. Decides he'll defend as well. So 4 players in for 24K ahead to the ace-king 7-2 heart flop. Shanghai with way the best of it.
Yeah, really only Shanghai, you know, hitting anything on this flop. Every other hand is complete whiff. Orpin sees 2 overcards, doesn't like it.
Rui c-betting 50K into 3 players on this board texture. Are you a fan of that?
Well, he's going for it. You know, he's been aggressive, as we've seen. He puts the pedal to the metal. We haven't seen him check many flops when he was the pre-flop aggressor, so not surprising. He's got like a little something, you know, the 3-card straight flush draw, and now an open-ended. Will he fire again? He's the under-the-gun player, so he's the most likely to have an ace. The big blind's supposed to have a lot more hands.
And here he is firing another barrel after his flop bet paired the field in half. He finds himself in position, heads up against Shanghai, and Shanghai's got kicker problems.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see Rui Cao, he's in position and in character as an aggressive player who really pushes the envelope, representing here. And he's hit the straight, and oh my goodness, Shanghai has made aces and threes. Oh, wow, this is so tough to play against a player who plays as aggressively as Rui Cao, because sometimes, even when he has nothing, it turns into something and puts you in a really tough spot. 220,000 is the bet. Are we going to see a raise here? No, just a call. Oh my goodness, he's going to see that and say, wait a minute. Ace, king, 7, huh? How does that make a straight?
I feel like Rui Cao just got removed from the Shanghai Wang Christmas list.
Yeah, well, sometimes aggression pays off. No one knows it better than Rui. Some ego and pride on the line, in addition to, you know, close to 20 million pounds, which isn't so shabby.
No, not at all, regardless of what currency you convert it into. As we get a look at Aaron Zhang, suited and connected, he opens to 26,000. Blinds are at 6 and 12K with the 12K big blind ante. Same type of texture for Shanghai Wang, who decides to flat the Jack 10 suited. And now Rui Cao with a Queen 10 suited comes along as well.
Yeah, some pretty good holdings that play well post-flop. Some suited connectors all around. Even for Soiza in the big blind with a little tiny one, 6-4 suited.
4 players to the flop, which is 2 5s, 2 diamonds, and a 7, giving Soiza the open ender, and both Zhang and Rui Cao diamond flush draws.
Well, Zhang also has the gut shot straight flush draw. So an action flop for 3 of the 4 players in this pot.
Continuation bet of 50K out of Zhang, David.
You can't blame him. He was the under-the-gun raiser. This is a good, favorable flop for him. Obviously, both other players are interested as well. Oof.
Wow, the 3 of diamonds on the turn makes everyone's hand, and yet Soiza and Zhang check, as does Rui Cao. Who could have predicted that? And a very terrible card if you're holding a flush, the 7 on the end, double pairing the board.
No question. On that turn, you rarely see 3 people look at the turn and go, yes, that's me. And they're all kind of right. So that river card should kill some action. Still unlikely someone has a 7 or a 5 as played. Rui's smartly going to make a small value bet here, hoping to get maybe an ace-high call or a call from 2 8s or 2 9s, something along those lines. And Soiza with the straight makes the call. What? That's a really good fold there from Zhang to fold the 9-high flush. It's impressive.
To be fair, I think his fold is more associated with the prospects of Soiza having him beat than they are of Rui Cao behind him.
Yeah, you can't blame Martin for the laydown there. It's a tough call for, especially that sizing, 700K. Wow.
Tough life.
We see just a limp now for Martin Cabril in late position with 4-5 suited.
Tan Chuan also limping in. Now Big Al with a 3-6 suited on the button.
He's getting a decent price. He's in position. Why not? Limp along. Have a family pot, as they used to say, back when that was the norm.
Ferdinand Putra limping from the small, and now Mikita Badziakuski. 8-5 suited, says let's go. A rare 5-way pot. 9-5-4 with a couple of spades.
So 2 pair for Martin. Open-ended straight for Big Al on the button.
Come on. 4 checks in front of him, and he rips.
He's just going for it. Wow, this is a huge overbet. Big Al not messing around, pushing the envelope, trying to get somebody off of a pair. Not going to be able to get Cabril off 2 pair, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, he's moving all in over the top.
Well, Big Al has outs. He's got 8 of them. As you can see the percentages, 32%. Gonna need some help. There's some help.
Turn we go. Yeah, a pair of 6s gives him some added outs.
Sure. Can also catch a 9 or a 6 now, and there's a 9.
Yes!
Wow.
Yes!
Ooh. Big Al seems happy about that one. I love it.
What gave it away?
I love a little emotion. You go, Big Al. Nothing wrong with cheering for for yourself when you win a big pot like that.
An astounding amount of effort gets put into being a top pro these days.
No question about it. I think a lot of people underestimate how much hard work is put into play at the highest levels, not only at the table, and not only in terms of like learning how to play poker better, but you heard Dan Smith mention meditation and all these other practices. Jason Kuhn, physically fit, eating healthy. Bryn Kenny, taking pills and stuff like that. You got a wide spectrum of preparation tactics amongst the pros, but they're all taking it very seriously.
So if you're running bad, just put down the bacon cheeseburger.
Okay.
9-5 tray, 2 diamonds. Big Al's flopped himself a king-high flush draw against an overpair, and we could see some fireworks here.
Well, what we've seen so far from Big Al when he has a draw is he's willing to put chips in the middle. You know, Putra's got an overpair. He's more than willing to get it in on this flop. But this time, Big Al elects to just call and try to hit it.
Well, he does pick up added equity courtesy of an open-ender on the turn.
Yeah, he can catch a king. That would work. A diamond, deuce, or a 7.
A lot of outs.
Putra still got to feel good about having the overpair. He's targeting DeCarlos, hoping he has something like 9-10, 9-jack. Wants to get value from a hand like that. 325 is the bet. Big Al's, of course, going to call with this monster draw he's got.
Over $1 million chip pot, and on the river, Big Al gets there while Putra hits top set.
Yes, he gets there and gets there in a big way. Putra, it's going to be difficult for him to get off of 3 queens. 500K is the bet. Putra's like, wow, I just made 3 queens, but I'm not so sure I'm happy about it.
You know, I think Big Al choosing to lead out here is going to cost Ferdinand less than it might have had Big Al checked.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. You know, you get check raised there by Big Al. You got to think it's a flush.
Oh, my goodness. Ferdinand mucked.
Unbelievable discipline there from Ferdinand to fold after making a set on the river, really understanding that Big Al has got to flush a high percentage of the time.
And an all-in and a call predictably is Kurganov down to nothing at all. 7-4 offsuit in the big blind.
So like this, right?
I'm gonna do it.
He doesn't even know what he's got yet.
Wow. That's a good one.
8 of diamonds.
Can we see a board first? Can we see a flop?
He's hoping for an overcard or a pair. Ah, he sees the bad news.
1 over is good.
Kurganov at 29% to win this flip.
The high card on a paired board as well.
Can he get lucky against Vivek's 6s? He does flop a gut shot straight draw, but needs a 6.
Or a 7, so added outs. Not the worst flop in the world. Still live.
I win like 25% of the time. I'll just take back this.
He's confident.
Very bad card. I couldn't be standing more, right? Wait, can I look at the other cards? Can we do it one time, just like burn cards first?
The answer is no, and the 3 of clubs means the bubble has burst here in the Triton Million. Big round of applause for Igor Kurganov. Someone has to be the bubble, and today, sir, it's you. Back in London, where the Triton Million final table marches forward. Big Al, ace-3 suited, limping in under the gun. Dan Smith doing the same behind him in the cutoff, and now from the small blind with 2 9s, Canadian Timothy Adams makes it 760 to go.
Healthy raise up to 760, but Big Al didn't limp to fold. He wants to see a flop with that ace-3 of diamonds. Now the question is, does it make sense for Dan Smith to try to flop a set 3 ways? Cost him 600,000 more, roughly. He says no, doesn't want to play it 3-way.
And he would not have flopped the set, but Big Al has flopped the nut flush draw here against second pair.
A lot of ways for Big Al to win this pot. You know, he could make his flush, but he could also play this aggressively and get Adams to fold the 9s. If Adams leads out and Big Al says, I'm all in, as we've seen him do before with draws, it's going to be a tough call for Timothy Adams.
The trouble perhaps could be that Big Al has done exactly that with the draw in the past, and Adams may sniff it out and decide to make a call.
Such a tough decision, because when you've got 2 9s and someone moves in on you here, you think, okay, my best case scenario is they've got some sort of big draw. My worst case, I'm dead.
Well, Al decides to call. Now the board pairs.
As played, Adams has to really be worried about Big Al having something like Jack 10 suited or Queen Jack suited.
Possibly an overpair being tricky?
Slim, I think he probably would have, if the trap was set pre-flop, re-raised, but I mean, it's always possible. Big Al's a tricky player. 575 now from Adams.
And this is sort of the moment of truth for Timothy Adams' 2 9s, where he'll find out whether or not he thinks they're good. But Big Al coming with the call. And the board double pairing. So the texture favorable to the 2 9s on this run out.
Certainly true. This could be trouble for Big Al as well. If he put his opponent on something like Ace-King, firing a couple bullets, now he's got 6s and 4s with an ace, which would tie that hand.
Adams checked, and Big Al is ripping it all in there.
Wow. What a brutally tough call for Adams as played. Question is, what would Big Al do this with? Does he have 6-7 suited? Does he somehow have a 4? Would he do this with just the jack? Unlikely. So for Adams, he's figuring, well, listen, this is either a complete bluff or, obviously I'm up against a full house.
And Adams folds.
I don't even know if it was
and gets shown the bluff.
Oh my goodness! Wow, Big Al, the wild card at this final table.
Look, they don't call him Big Al for nothing.
Unconventional to say the least. Adams couldn't sniff out the bluff there.
Non-pros remaining in the field include Bill Perkins and Aaron Zhang. And of course on the pro side, Dan Smith, who raises to $500,000 to kick off the action today. Blinds at $125 and $250K. Vivek Rajkumar on the button with a suited connector.
Well, a bit of a rocky start for Vivek Rajkumar at the outset of this final table. Was lucky enough to eliminate Timothy Adams when his ace-10 cracked the kings. So he's doing just fine with 13 million and is going to make the call with a nice hand. 9-10 suited. So pretty.
Heads up to the flop, a 10 in the window, followed by a 9 and a 4 as Rajkumar way out in front of the 2 jacks.
That's very pretty now.
1 million.
Dan Smith firing 1 million.
Vivek certainly happy to be facing a bet. Now he's just thinking about the best way to maximize. How do I trap my opponent here now that I've flopped top 2 pair? Do I just flat call now or spring the raise?
He does have backdoor hearts, but the 2 pair should be more than good enough.
He's going to raise enough to put Dan Smith to a decision where essentially he's got to decide, is this it? Is this the hand we're going for?
All in.
The answer is yes, Daniel. As Smith says all in, a snap call from Vivek. And Dan will look
Pretty doable.
at the bad news.
Plenty of outs here for Dan Smith. He can catch runner straights, 2 pair. Needs a 3 or a 4 or a jack to stay alive.
And there it is.
Wow! Things just not going Vivek's way for most of this final table. New chip leader, Dan Smith.
Lots of fulfillment outside the tables for Dan Smith, and there'll be something pretty fulfilling about looking down at ace-king suited for Aaron Zhang, who's on the heater here at the final table.
Yeah, he's definitely on the heater, on the upswing.
And got Bryn Kenny in a bad way here. Sensei with ace-jack suited. Choosing to flat the button, Daniel.
Yeah, smartly avoids bloating this pot where he's dominated.
2 8s for Dan Smith aren't going to go anywhere.
All in.
Oh, and in fact, they're going to ask a big question.
Wow. All in from Dan Smith. Gonna get called by Aaron Zhang. Bryn Kenny, of course, gets out the way. Massive 22 million chip pot right now.
Zhang moved all in himself, making Bryn's decision that much easier. And you hear Smith say classic. Things don't feel very fair here on the King-Jack-Jack board. Zhang way ahead of the 2 8s. You see Bryn Kenny would have flopped trip jacks. Would have been in great shape in a huge pot. But instead, Zhang's aggression looking like it'll pay off as Kenny would have had quads.
Ace-jack of clubs.
GG.
Phew!
GG.
Avoided disaster there.
Oh, I got super lucky.
Now Chidwick looks down at 2 sevens. 14.6 million in front of him. Deep enough to open. 1.1 million to skate.
Fold.
2 mucks in front of Sensei, who's got a king-jack offsuit in the big. As strong as this is four-handed, Daniel, it's reckless to play back, is it not?
Well, now the Chidwick, as you can see, is up to about 14 million. But look at this. Bryn Kenny saying, oh boy, street poker, all in. Putting Chidwick to the test with a mid-pair. Tough decision for Chidwick. He's got to think about so many things. You see him looking up at the prize structure, the ICM factor. Do I want to play this hopeful coin flip situation? Because again, if Bryn Kenny has an overpair, you're a 4-to-1 dog. So you're hoping, essentially, to be in a coin flip. Does he want to risk it? He says yes.
So 2 sevens against King Jack in an almost 30 million chip pot here, four-handed, and Bryn Kenny smacks a king on the flop. Disaster for Stephen Chidwick, who doesn't improve on the turn and has 2 outs, wants to stay alive. Can he hit? No. A 10 on the end. And Sensei Bryn Kenny up to 39 million as Stephen Chidwick has been eliminated.
And a commanding chip lead now for Bryn Kenny. Can really apply pressure.
Call.
Dan Smith gonna fade that pressure with ace-10, allowing Aaron Zhang to escape with ace-9.
Well, Aaron Zhang is all of a sudden the #1 fan in the Bryn Kenny fan club, hoping to see him knock out Dan Smith here and move up.
Queen right away in the window, giving Kenny top pair and the lead here. Smith needs an ace or a king for the W, a 9 for a chop. And the 2 players who could become the winningest in the history of poker with first place money here today, squaring off. Trip queens for Kenny on the turn, and now only the king will work. Can Smith hit it? No, a deuce of spades on the end. Dan Smith eliminated in 3rd place, and Sensei Bryn Kenny will take a huge chip lead, heads up against Aaron Zhang. Doesn't need to be hasty, but sometimes you just feel it, you can taste it.
Well, the blinds are up there right now. We're talking about 250, 500,000 blinds. Really pushes the action. You can't wait too long. And a big flop for Aaron Zhang, flopping 3 kings.
Unfortunately for him, Sensei with not much of anything, but that's not stopped him in the past, in particular in position.
Dry flop. It's a spot where you can bet. Very unlikely Aaron Zhang hit a 5 or a king. So if I'm Bryn, no problem betting this 9 deuce on the flop.
Which he does, 825K.
And if you're Aaron Zhang, you got a couple options. Fold isn't one of them. You can just call, let Bryn continue betting, or spring the raise now, try to get it in.
He opts for the former. 10 of clubs on the turn, and suddenly Kenny picks up equity in the form of a flush draw.
You're absolutely right. Kenny has a flush draw, and if he thinks Aaron Zhang may have something like just a 5, he may try to barrel this turn and would probably have to do it on the river as well. But wait a minute. Before we get there, Aaron Zhang leading out with what's known as the donk bet.
And how will Kenny react? He's going to put in the raise. Doesn't sense strength.
The last time we saw Bill Perkins donk bet into Bryn Kenny, he raised the turn. Once again, not buying this bet here from Aaron Zhang.
And Zhang is going to just call, which could open the door on the river now that Zhang is filled up for Kenny to try to buy this over 12 million chip pot with 9 high, which certainly isn't good at showdown.
Well, Aaron Zhang with about a pot size bet left. So if Bryn's going to bet it, he's going to go for it big time. All of it, I would imagine. Well, no, he chooses to just bet about half. He's going to hear raise in just a second and think to himself, ugh,
Oi.
Oh, boy.
Not just any raise, but the all-in.
Ooh, big hit there to Bryn Kenny's stack. And I believe we have a new chip leader in Aaron Zhang. All of a sudden finds himself in a position. Aaron Zhang, the non-pro, new to tournament poker, has a chance to win the biggest title in poker history.
8-5 suited, and he's going to work with a raise to 1 million, a suited ace in the big for Kenny.
Important for Bryn now to really keep his composure.
Flops a nut flush draw on the 8-4 tray board, which gives Zhang top pair.
We could see fireworks here.
Sensei checks.
Aaron Zhang certainly going to bet his top pair. And the question is, how does Bryn Kenny approach this flop? 2 million is the bet. Bryn sitting on about 23 million.
5,775.
He's going to raise it 5.775 million.
Could this be the moment?
I think I said 5,775.
That he did.
Oi.
All in from Aaron Zhang. You're going to see a call from Bryn Kenny here with the nut flush draw. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the moment, potentially. Can Bryn Kenny double back into the chip lead? The turn says no. He needs an ace or a spade on the river. Otherwise, Aaron Zhang is your Triton Million champion. And a king on the end seals Aaron Zhang in the annals of poker history as having won the largest first place prize ever. Your Triton Million champion.
What a comeback at this final table. Great poker played by Aaron Zhang, really kicking up his aggression to win this title. A second place for Bryn Kenny, but tops on the all-time money list.